Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to Granny B's house. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Granny B's having a good day. Granny B usually does have good days. And I hope you're remembering to be kind to those people around you, and just maybe they'll be kind right back to you. Well, Granny B has told you time and time again how I like to go to used bookstores and pick up old books with good stories about being better humans or better pigs, as the case may be. This book called Stone Soup is written by, well, it says it's retold by Marilyn Sapienza, which I think means she wrote it. And it's illustrated by Hans Wilhelm. And this book was written in 1986. That's a long time ago. Okay, Stone Soup is the name of this, and we're talking about two pigs named Max and Molly. I'm tired, I'm hungry, whined Molly. Don't worry, said Max. Our troubles are over. Look, I see a little village just a few miles away. But we don't know anyone there, said Molly. Max thought for a moment. He said, you're right. But maybe some friendly villagers live there, and maybe they'll give us something to eat and a place to rest. Yes, said Molly. Most people are kind. Let's go. What Molly and Max didn't know is that these villagers were not kind. They were stingy and mean. Eek, shouted Mr. and Mrs. Ratfink. Eek, shouted their little baby too. Strangers are coming, yelled Mr. Ratfink. They'll want us to share what we have with them. Eek, squealed baby Ratfink. Let's hide our food. Let's close our shops, said the butcher. That's not being very kind, is it? The town banker hid his money. He put a sign on the bank, closed. The village innkeeper hid his room keys. He put a sign on the hotel, no room. The farmer's wife hid the garden vegetables. She closed the door and shuttered the windows. The townspeople hid carrots and corn. They hid potatoes and peas. They hid beans and broccoli, onions and herbs, milk and meat. Soon there was not one bit of food in sight. All the villagers practiced looking hungry. But by the time Molly and Max reached the village, there was no one around. Where is everyone? Asked Molly. They're probably inside having lunch, reasoned Max. Can't you smell something delicious? Yes, said Molly, it's coming from that house over there. The door is even open a crack. Maybe they saw us coming and are waiting for us, said Max hopefully. But when Molly and Max got to the door, it slammed shut. Go away, shouted a voice from behind the door. Molly and Max walked up to a man who was crossing the street. Excuse me, sir, said Molly. Could you please help us? We've been traveling a long time. We could use a hot meal and a place to sleep. Forget it, said the man in a gruff voice. Molly and Max knocked on every door. They stopped everyone who passed by, but the answers were always the same. No food, no room, go away. What are we going to do? Asked Molly. No one here can help us. I have a feeling that no one here wants to help us, said Max. I think these people have hearts of stone. "Hey," said Molly, "that gives me an idea." Molly whispered her idea to Max. Then they rang the village bell. Bong, bong, bong went the bell. All the townspeople came running. "What's going on here?" grumbled Mr. Ratfink. "We only ring the bell when there's an emergency." "Eek!" screeched baby Ratfink. "There is an emergency," Max told everyone. "There's no food in this town." "So now is the time to make stone soup," said Molly. "Stone soup? I've never heard of it," said the farmer's wife. "Of course you haven't heard of it," said Molly. "It's a secret recipe." "But we'll share the recipe with you just the same," said Max. "Then we'll all have something to eat, and none of us will be hungry." "Well," said the villagers impatiently, "what do we do first?" Molly answered, "Heat some water in a big pot." When that was done, the villagers said, "What's next?" Max answered, "Add some stones you've scrubbed a lot." Now the townspeople were really curious. Surely this was the strangest recipe they had ever heard. They waited while Molly dipped her spoon into the steaming pot. They watched while she tasted the soup. She said, "Stone soup is very good plain, but it would taste even better if we could make the fancy kind." "How do we do that?" asked the mayor. Sprinkle pepper, salt, and herbs," said Molly. "Let it boil undisturbed." "I have those things," said the mayor's wife. "I'll be right back." She hurried back with her pocket full of herbs and spices. "Oh, thank you," said Molly as she added seasonings to the soup. "What's next?" asked the mayor's wife. "Drop in carrots, onions too. Let the soup heat through and through," said Molly. "But we'll just have to do without carrots and onions," she sighed. "Oh, I have those things," said the farmer's wife. "I'll be right back." She came back with a sack bulging with carrots and onions. "Oh, thank you," said Molly as she added them to the soup. "What's next?" asked the farmer's wife. Molly replied, "Stir in milk to make it sweet. Add potatoes for a treat." "With milk and potatoes, it would be so much better." "I have milk," shouted the butcher's wife, "and the banker's wife has potatoes. We'll be right back." The butcher's wife returned with 2 buckets brimming with milk. The banker's wife came back with a basket full of potatoes. "Oh, thank you," said Molly as she added them to the soup. "What's next?" asked the banker's wife. Max replied, "Toss in meat cubes, let it stew, let it bubble, let it brew." "Too bad we don't have any meat," sighed Molly. "Oh, I know where to get some," said the butcher excitedly. "I'll be right back." A short time later, the butcher returned with a huge chunk of meat, which he quickly cut into pieces. "Oh, thank you," said Molly as she stirred the meat pieces into the boiling pot. "What's next?" asked the butcher. "The best part. Taste the soup, and when it's done, serve stone soup to everyone." "Yay!" cheered the mayor. "It's time to taste the soup." He snatched up a spoonful of soup and tasted it. "This is the most delicious soup I've ever had," said the mayor. "And to think that it's made with nothing but stones and water. Amazing." "It's time to serve the stone soup," announced the mayor. But the townspeople had more than just soup. They also brought fruit and bread, salad and cider, cakes and pies. They ate and laughed and danced long into the night, and when the feast was over, the innkeeper asked Molly and Max to stay in his finest room. The next morning, everyone waved goodbye to Molly and Max. How can we thank you for the secret recipe, they called. Share stone soup with everyone, said the travelers. Wow, I think that's a wonderful thing because not only did they have a good heart and they wanted to fix soup for everybody, they turned those mean, stingy people into people who were giving and sharing. So keep that in mind when you're being kind to people who aren't being kind to you. You just keep up, be persistent, keep being kind to those people, and maybe one of these days they'll turn around just like these mean, stingy people, and they'll be kind right back. So it's a big job, and not everybody's fit for that job, but I think you are. So you remember now, Granny B loves you, and Granny B wants you to come back and see her real soon. And if you do, she might read you another story. Bye-bye now.